Welcome back, gamer detectives, to the first ever detective show brought to you by a gamer. I, I just want to give a quick disclaimer, real quick. There will be massive Persona 5 Royal spoilers in this video. Obviously, if it wasn't already spoiled to you by the title and the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about Mr. Detective Prince Goro Akechi, also known as what happens when you don't game. You become a beta like Akechi. But that's not the point of this video. This point of this video is I'm going to try my best to prove that Akechi is in fact alive in Persona 5. I've gathered some evidence and I'm going to be going over everything, as well as just some observations that I've made throughout this game that I think all but proves, I guess, that Akechi's still alive. So if you like this video, make sure to like it. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know if there's anything here that I'm missing, whether it helps prove that Akechi's alive or helps prove that Akechi's not alive. I tried to be somewhat unbiased towards this. Obviously, I want to try to prove that Akechi is still alive, but I'm going to acknowledge some things here that might, I guess, kind of disprove that he's not alive. Might disprove that he's alive, I mean. So let's just get right into it. Cue the intro. Oh, wait, I don't have an intro. Never mind. All right. So Exhibit A. You see it on screen right now. A picture of Goro Akechi with Sai and Joker. Or apparently Joker's canon name is Harem Fucker 249. If you get that reference, let me know. Okay, so I want to point something out here. No, I want you to notice something here. I want you to notice the date. December 24th. Okay? This is after the God of Control fight. And this is when the true ending route starts, because normally here Joker turns himself in. And what's happening here, if you haven't seen it, Joker is talking to Sai here, and she's like, I want you to turn yourself in. Your testimony will be vital to proving Shido's guilt. But then in true ending, Akechi turns up, and he's like, that won't be necessary. I will turn myself in and testify. And Sai's like, what are you talking about? Joker's like, Nani? And Akechi's like, exactly as it sounds. I want to turn myself in. So this image is going to be important here in a minute, but the important thing here to note is the date, December 24th. So we're going to move on to Exhibit B, this scene right here. Okay, so in true ending, as you've probably known by now, Morgana here turns into a human. But Morgana does not turn into a human until January 1st. January 1st is when you first noticed human Morgana, because Joker walks downstairs and he sees this weird model-looking person at the table that acts surprisingly comfortable around Joker, acts like they know him, and Joker's like, something's not right here, and where's Morgana? The game then implies that the human, and later confirms that the human is Morgana, right? And we learned that Morgana was made human because of Maruki's reality, right? We know that. In the reality where everybody gets to be happy. So that would mean, and this is true for everybody else. Everybody here is just kind of having their normal lives, right? But on January 1st, everything changes. Morgana becomes human. Futaba's mother, Wakaba, comes back to life. Ryuji's part on the track team. Sai and Makoto's father is still alive, and they're all one big happy family. Yusuke's mentor, Madarame, is alive again. Haru's father, Okumura, is alive. And An is hanging out with Shiho. And Shiho never attempted to take her own life. On January 1st, everything has switched, and everyone is now, happy at once. So I'm going to call back to Exhibit A with Akechi. So if everything really kind of changed for Maruki's reality on January 1st, then how is Akechi here on December 24th, 7 days before the reality shifts? And that's the first piece of evidence that I have. Akechi is here 7 days before the change in reality. Now, another thing to note about this is that the day before the final battle, right, Maruki comes to the cafe and he tries to persuade Joker, but Akechi also turns up. And in that conversation, Maruki mentions that he recreated Akechi after he heard what happened on the cruise ship so that Joker and Akechi could start over, since their rivalry wasn't based in hate. Like, they liked each other. They got along. Like, deep down, Akechi really likes Joker. So if that's the case, right, and Maruki created Akechi, then why would Dr. Maruki, who wants Joker to accept this reality that he created, create an Akechi that also goes against his reality? Because when Akechi turns up on January 2nd or 1st, when Akechi turns up into the cafe on January 1st or 2nd, I can't remember exactly when, he walks up to Joker and he's like, "You've noticed it too, haven't you? That everything's kind of off here." And then they like leave and Akechi's like, "Yeah, so you've noticed how everything's weird here, right? This isn't like normal. Something's up. We need to investigate this." If Maruki really created Akechi and wanted Joker to accept the reality, why would he make Akechi also go against the reality that Maruki made, when he could just have Akechi turn up and be like, "Hey, everything's cool again"? Like, what's the point in that? Like, that would be counterproductive for Maruki to make Akechi who also goes against the reality, to give Joker that reassurance that, hey, this reality isn't right. So that's the first piece of information, or the second piece of information I have. First is that Akechi turns up 7 days before the big change, I guess. The second piece of evidence is that Akechi goes against the reality also and opposes Maruki, which, if Maruki made Akechi so that Joker and him could start over, why would Maruki make Akechi go against the reality while everyone else accepted it? You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense for Maruki. The third piece of evidence that I have is kind of a support evidence. It goes back to this image here, that Morgana is still a cat on December 31st and everything is still normal with everybody. Like, everybody's parents are dead, Ryuji's still injured, Yusuke is still living on his own, right? Everything is as it was on December 31st, and nothing changed until the 1st is when Morgana changed into a cat and everybody became happy. So how can Akechi be here before the real reality even set in? Right? You see what I mean? So that's the third piece of information that I have. And the second thing, or I guess there's a part 2 to this piece of evidence, and it also involves Morgana. On December 31st is when Morgana noticed the actor on the TV in LeBlanc. He looks at the TV, he sees the actor, and he's like, "Man, if I looked like that, maybe then On would like me, or maybe then I would have a chance with On," right? And you can't say that everybody got their kind of reality changed as they sort of realized what they wanted, because Morgana always wanted to be human. Like, he always wanted to be human. So why would him acknowledging an actor on a TV, like a specific person, suddenly make him change? Conveniently change also, I might add, the same day as everybody else. So it can't be some sort of awakening that everybody had that sort of formed this reality, because 1, they didn't all change until the same day, and 2, Morgana always wanted to be human, and the only thing that happened on the 31st was he acknowledged an actor. Like, so that can't that can't be it either. So that's the one thing that I wanted to add to that, is kind of the supporting evidence that the reality itself did not change until January 1st, which would then mean that the Akechi here on December 24th is in fact the real Akechi and not a cognitive creation of Maruki. Here's the third piece of evidence, or the fourth, I should say, that I wanted to show. And this one is an image taken from the true ending. And you get like two different like cutscenes here based on what your rank is with Akechi. Because you have to have like some certain dialogue with Akechi. Like you have to say that you're his rival. You have to like get him to give you his glove. And you have to say like you're not going to forget about his deal after he supposedly dies on Shido's ship. And if you do all that, you get this scene in the ending cutscene where these three people walk by, and then this person right here walks by, but they blur out the face, so you can't see who it is. But people have come to suspect that this is, in fact, Akechi walking by. People are like, oh, he's got the same coat, he's got the same black gloves on, he's got his tie. You can't really see his hair. I guess maybe it's kind of like faint, like right here. Like maybe that's part of his hair. It's kind of hard to tell though. Like don't take that as any hard evidence. But what you can take from this is the badge that he's wearing. This is the same badge on the same side of the jacket that Akechi wore. It's a police detective badge, I believe. So one thing that people say in counter to this image is that, oh, this could be anybody who just happened to be wearing a similar attire like Akechi. Like I could see that. But what really, I guess, kind of disproves that for me is the fact that they have the badge, the detective badge. So it seems kind of odd to me that somebody would be dressed exactly like Akechi, have the same badge, but not be Akechi. Like, unless it's like a uniform for like the detective workers, but you don't see anything in the game that would support a uniform amongst other detectives. You know, they all wear their black suits or their dark blue suits, you know? So this, I think, is also evidence that Akechi is still alive, right? It just seems too much of a coincidence for it not to be him, right? All right, exhibit number 4. This is the best image that I could find. And I'm just using this as a placeholder because data miners in Persona 5 Royal found a deleted, I guess, scene in the end of the game where it might not have been the exact end of the game, but I think it was supposed to take place between after Shido's Palace and when Akechi turns up and takes the fall for Joker, right? Because the scene is Akechi in rehab, and there's, I don't know how to say this well, but so like Akechi's in rehab and he's like talking to somebody, and he's like, I need to go find somebody who needs me, and he's gonna be like really appreciative of me, and he's gonna like owe me one when I turn up and help him. Like somebody needs my help and he's gonna be grateful for me when I show up. Like don't quote me on that, but it went something like that. And obviously it's Akechi referring to Joker, who's about to be arrested, I think, assuming that's when it took place. But you know, that's something that a lot of people use as evidence that Akechi is still alive. But people will also use it as evidence against Akechi being alive by saying, well, it was cut. Like, it wasn't in the game, though, so it's not technically canon. But for me, this isn't like a foundational piece of evidence. Like, the whole theory doesn't rest on this theory that Akechi's in rehab. It doesn't, like, rest on that. But it does say that Akechi was originally supposed to be alive. And because he couldn't have been a cognition in rehab, because that wouldn't make sense for Maruki. Like, why would Maruki make Akechi in rehab? Like, whose happy ending is that? If Akechi was supposedly dead and Maruki created a new Akechi for Joker and friends, why would he put Akechi in rehab? Like, that doesn't make sense. So, the fact that this scene was cut from the game doesn't necessarily confirm that Akechi was alive, but it also doesn't deny it because of the context or the fact that it was there to begin with. It's just, this is just kind of a supporting piece, right? The next thing I want to touch on, I didn't get an image of it because I couldn't find anything, but supposedly in the alternate reality with Akechi, I think it's the day before the final fight, Akechi's like, I want to hear you say it. What are we going to do about Maruki? And you get the choice to either accept the reality, which will give you the fake true ending, or you deny Maruki's reality and you go do the final boss fight and get the true ending. And I say that because in the false true ending, Akechi's there with the group, right? Well, I should take a step back. When you tell Akechi in LeBlanc that you're going to be accepting Maruki's reality, he gets pissed, says the deal's off, and he leaves, right? But then once the reality fully sets in, Akechi is back with the group, but he's not like his edgy self, like he's his old goofy self, like before you realize that he was batshit crazy. Like he was laughing with the group. He was this carefree kind of guy saying, oh, I'm going to go travel and whatnot. Like he's really this loose, carefree, chill guy again, which is against what Akechi's personality really is. Now that I can believe is the Akechi created by Maruki. But if this Akechi here was a creation of Maruki, then why did his personality suddenly then change to the personality that would get along with Joker and everybody else? Like, why wasn't he like that to begin with? If the Akechi in the false true ending and the Akechi that showed up here on December 24th and later after the reality change was the same Akechi. Like, that doesn't make sense. And if Akechi stormed off after he called the deal off when Joker accepts the reality, why would he come back? And like, why would he suddenly come back that next day with a completely different personality as if none of this ever happened? Right? You see what I mean? The only theory that could explain that is that they were two different Akechis. Like, this was the real Akechi, and then the Akechi in the false ending was the new Akechi that Maruki created. So Maruki probably just thought that Akechi died, when in reality Akechi was alive, came back to save Joker and help him out, like to get kind of even with him, I guess. But yeah, you see what I mean here? Like, with Akechi and all that. Like, it doesn't make sense for Maruki, and it doesn't make sense for Akechi for him to just change like that. And it also all ties back to the very beginning where I said that it doesn't make sense for Maruki to create an Akechi that goes against his reality when he wants Joker to accept that reality and live in it. Like, he, in that case, would create an Akechi that would support this happy reality with Joker. And that Akechi is what we see in the false true ending, the one that gets along well with Joker and the others, and is the Akechi that they all really liked at the beginning, you know? And not this Akechi. They are two different Akechis. And that, I think, is pretty solid evidence, in my eyes, that these are two different Akechis. And I think, again, that the Akechi that turns up in the false true ending, the super cool, chill one, was just kind of wandering around Shibuya somewhere, or Tokyo or somewhere, just kind of hanging out, and they didn't cross paths conveniently until Joker accepted the new reality. I just think that, or maybe Akechi killed the other Akechi. Like, this Akechi on January 1st killed the one that Maruki made, and then Maruki realized that and then just created another Akechi, a third Akechi, just so Joker would have an Akechi around, because Maruki said that he wanted these two to have a fresh start together. So that, yeah, that's why I think that Akechi is in fact still alive. I think that this Akechi is the real Akechi because, one, he showed up a week earlier than the reality change. Two, his personality was completely different from the Akechi that shows up in the false true ending. And three, he goes against Maruki's reality as well. Like I said, those are the three key Akechi evidences for me that prove that this is a real Akechi and that Akechi is still alive. And the other supporting evidences are December 31st, everybody is still normal in their reality. January 1st, Morgana's human. Everybody has their ideal realities, and it all happened at once. So it wouldn't make sense for Akechi to turn up 1 week earlier in this false reality. And I know people say like, oh, but Maruki got the power to manipulate reality and mementos once the God of Control was destroyed. But you're telling me the very first thing that Maruki did as soon as the God of Control was destroyed was creating another Akechi that just happened to go against everything he wanted Joker to believe? Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Like, going back to those three key pieces of evidence that I was saying, it doesn't make sense, one, for Maruki just to do that immediately off the bat, but two, to create an Akechi that, again, goes with those key evidences that I listed. So the reality definitely did not change until January 1st. And yeah, and even then, this supposed Akechi turns up after Maruki was defeated and lost his control over reality, and everything kind of changed back to what it was. So if that's the case, then this is the real Akechi, and it couldn't have been a fake, because if it was the fake, it would have disappeared with the reality, like what Maruki was saying was going to happen if Joker defeated him. To which I think Maruki was just bluffing. I think Maruki didn't create an Akechi until the false true ending, but used it as kind of a bait to kind of trick Joker into accepting his reality. That's just a side theory that I have. But all in all, I think that Akechi is still alive. And I think I found some solid evidence for my TED Talk here that pretty much supports it. It doesn't fully confirm just because it's not completely confirmed by Atlas, but I think it's pretty obvious that Akechi is still alive. And I hope he comes back in like Persona 6 as like a side character or something, you know? I wish Persona games had more cameos in it. But there is one more piece of evidence that I have. And if you don't believe any of the other evidences that I listed before, then this might, or if you're still on the fence, then this might convince you. Ladies and gentlemen, my final piece of information. Akechi heard something about delicious pancakes, right? There's a message here, right? Do you really think Akechi would leave and truly be dead and leave a world and a life that had pancakes? You see what I mean here? Akechi would never live in a reality without pancakes. That's just the fact. That's just cold, hard evidence. You cannot deny it. Like, I think this confirms, above all, that Akechi is still alive. Because, as I quote, I heard something about delicious pancakes. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be it. Thank you for watching this conspiracy theory episode of why Akechi is alive. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't, because people don't subscribe, I guess. I don't know, statistics and whatnot. I'm not going to put that pop up there just because I'm lazy and I don't want to. I don't guilt trip people into subscribing. That's bullshit. But let me know down below what you think of this Akechi theory. Do you think Akechi's alive? If so, why? Do you think Akechi is not alive? If so, why? I'm curious to see where everybody else stands on this theory. I first found this theory on Reddit where people were arguing on whether or not Akechi is alive, and so naturally I had to start thinking like, do I think Akechi is alive? And I was like, yeah, I think Akechi's alive. And just through this evidence that I started and just putting it all together, it all just kind of made sense. Just knowing what Maruki was doing and what his goals were and how Akechi turned up and how all that went and whatnot. It just makes sense for Akechi to be alive to me. But again, let me know down below. All right. That'll do it, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye for now.